Hello, second graders. It is time for our read aloud. Today, you could first of all do this coloring sheet if you would like. That's supposedly Gus is his name. And he's riding a bike. He's got training wheels in this picture. And what I'm going to read to you today is the story of Gus and Grandpa. There's not a worksheet to go with any of these, or of this one particularly today. Since it's close to summertime and school is almost out, I like this because it's about riding your bike. Riding your bike with Grandpa. Now, hopefully we're all off training wheels, but we might not be. I've never asked that question. That whether or not we can all ride a bike without training wheels. But this is a story about Gus, who has trouble keeping up because he has training wheels and his grandpa helps him learn how to ride a bike. And in the meantime, you can color the picture of Gus. So Gus and Grandpa and the two-wheeled bike. And this is written by Claudia Mills with pictures by Catherine Stock. Gus and Grandpa. Gus was the only kid on Maple Street who still had training wheels on his bike. Did you know our school is on Maple Street? Even Ryan, 106 Maple Street, even Ryan Mason, who was the same age as Gus, had a bike with 5 speeds and no training wheels. Then Gus's mother and father gave him a brand new bike. It was as bright and shiny as Ryan Mason's, and it had no training wheels. Gus tried to ride the new bike while his father held onto the back. When his father let go for just a second, Gus crashed. The old bike. A few days and a few crashes later, Gus went to visit Grandpa at Grandma's house. Grandpa's dog Skipper jumped up to lick him. Skipper didn't mind that Gus still rode a bike with training wheels. Gus and Skipper ran around Grandpa's yard until they were both panting. Then Gus sat down next to Grandpa and drank some of Grandpa's homemade root beer. "How's your bike riding coming along?" Grandpa asked. "I can't ride that new bike," Gus said. "It keeps on crashing." He pointed to his knees. He had a dinosaur bandage on the right knee. He had a monster bandage on the left knee. "I have an idea," Grandpa said. Grandpa led the way to his broken down shed. "I think I still have your daddy's old bike, the one he had when he was a little boy." Grandpa pushed aside a cracked door with peeling paint. He looked behind a bunch of boxes. "Here it is," he finally said. The bike looked like Gus's old bike, but even older. This was an old bike. Its red paint was rusty. Its tires were flat. "We'll fix it up," Grandpa said. Gus suddenly felt hopeful. His daddy had learned how to ride this bike long ago. Maybe he should learn how to ride it now. No training wheels. When the old bike was ready, Grandpa loaded it in the back of his car. Gus and Grandpa and Skipper drove to an empty parking lot on the other side of the railroad tracks near Grandpa's house. Once you learn to ride a bike, Grandpa told Gus, you never forget. Sometimes I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I always remember how to ride a bike. Grandpa got on the old bike. He rode it once around the parking lot. Skipper barked. Gus laughed. Grandpa looked funny riding such a little bike. Now it's your turn, Grandpa said. He held the bike while Gus climbed on. Gus started pedaling. Grandpa ran behind him, holding the back of the bike. Gus rode around the parking lot with Grandpa 1,000,000 times. They stopped so that Grandpa could rest. Then Gus rode around the parking lot a lot with Grandpa 1,000,000 more times. And 1,000,000 more. Do you think he really rode around the parking lot 3,000,000 times? Suddenly, Gus felt the bike begin to tip. You can do it, Grandpa said. Gus pedaled faster. The bike didn't fall over. Gus kept on pedaling. The bike rode so smoothly that Gus felt as if he were flying. When Gus turned around a curve, his bike turned with him, like a winged horse galloping across the sky. Gus wished Ryan Mason could see him now. There was nothing in the world as wonderful as riding a bike without training wheels. Gus knew Grandpa was right. He would never, ever forget how to ride a bike. And he would never forget that Grandpa had taught him how. He would remember that forever. So I would imagine that most of you know how to ride a bike without training wheels, if not all of you. But if you don't yet, that's okay. You'll learn. Eventually, you will learn. But those of you who can ride a bike without training wheels, I bet you remember who taught you or who was with you the very first time you were able to get up and stay on your bike without falling down. I bet you remember that. I remember, and that was a long time ago. It was my brother Bob. He helped me. And a lot of other people helped me, but Bob was there the most. So I remember that. And I remember the first time I did it. It was a little blue bike. And I'm sure you will remember too, and probably will remember always who was with you. So that's why I chose this story. It's summertime, and we ride our bikes in the summer. And it's just kind of nostalgic. That means it brings back really old, neat, important memories. So anyway, hope you're all well. After this, we'll do some handwriting. Hopefully you can take a break between, wash up, do some exercises, get outside, and enjoy the weather. Bye, guys.